Imagine a silent classroom. There's no chatter, no background music, not even the constant buzz of notifications we've grown so used to. The only sound is the scratching of pencils on paper. Each student is fully focused, repeating the same character, the same stroke, the same kanji, line after line, page after page. At first glance, it looks mechanical, exhausting, almost pointless. But behind this ritual lies one of the greatest secrets of Japanese education: the ability to turn memory into something solid, lasting, and nearly unshakable. Now compare this with what we see in many Western classrooms. Here, we're surrounded by promises of quick learning. Apps claim you can memorize anything in minutes. Videos promise miraculous hacks. Courses advertise instant formulas. The appeal is always the same: speed. And yet, despite all the shortcuts, why do most people forget almost everything just a few weeks later? Why do Japanese students seem to run a marathon of knowledge without losing strength, while we burn out in a sprint? That's the question that opens our journey. What do they do differently, and what are we missing? The truth is, Japan has one of the most demanding education systems in the world. According to the OECD and the PISA program, which ranks educational performance globally, Japanese students consistently rank among the best in reading, math, and science. This isn't a coincidence. It's the result of a culture that values discipline, patience, and consistent effort. From an early age, Japanese children face a monumental challenge: memorizing thousands of written characters. By the end of high school, each student is expected to master around 2,136 kanji, the official characters of the Japanese writing system. Each kanji is complex, often with multiple readings and uses. It's like learning hundreds of miniature drawings, each carrying layers of meaning. How do they manage such a massive task without breaking down? The answer is simple: method. In Japan, repetition isn't seen as a waste of time, but as the path itself. Copying the same symbols dozens of times isn't just training the hand, it's training the mind. While the West often equates repetition with boredom, the Japanese see it as refinement. Like a craftsman repeating movements until perfection, the student repeats until memory becomes not just mental, but physical. Here lies the root of our problem. We confuse memory with speed. We want to memorize as if our brains were computers, capable of saving information instantly. But the human brain doesn't work that way. Back in the 19th century, Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered the famous forgetting curve. It shows that if we don't review new information, we lose up to 70% of it within just 24 hours. That fact alone should change how we study. Instead, we chase shortcuts and hacks that promise miracles. The result? We study fast, forget fast, and blame ourselves for having bad memory. The Japanese don't fight against the brain's natural process. They work with it. They understand that memory needs time, reviews, and cycles. Each repetition is like watering a seed. At first, the memory is fragile, but with patience and care, it develops deep roots. And once those roots are established, the memory becomes nearly impossible to uproot. That's the difference between shallow, short-lived learning and deep, long-lasting knowledge. Eastern philosophy reinforces this mindset. In Zen Buddhism, there's a simple but powerful phrase: when you study, just study. It sounds obvious, but think about it. How often do you truly study without distractions? Without your phone buzzing nearby, without multitasking, without your mind scattered in 10 directions? In Japan, studying isn't multitasking. When a student is writing kanji, they're not just copying characters. They're training their mind to focus, to be fully present, to align body and spirit in a single action. This seemingly small difference is actually massive. Studying isn't just about storing facts. It's about shaping character, training patience and cultivating discipline. It turns learning into a spiritual practice. Just as monks repeat mantras or martial artists rehearse the same strike endlessly, Japanese students repeat until knowledge becomes part of who they are. Memorization, then, isn't a chore. It's a ritual of transformation. This cultural contrast is striking. While we chase quick fixes and instant hacks, they embrace the long road. And perhaps our rush to learn is sabotaging us. Are we sacrificing depth in exchange for speed? Are we weakening our roots by always chasing fruits? The mystery of Japanese memory isn't about genetics or secret tricks. It's about philosophy, discipline, repetition, focus. Japanese students don't memorize just for exams. They cultivate memory like a garden, watering it daily, caring for it patiently, and accepting time as an ally. That's why their learning lasts. And this is only the beginning of our journey. Next, we'll dive into the specific methods Japanese students use, techniques you can apply yourself to transform your memory. But before moving on, let me ask for something small. If this video is valuable to you, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That's how you help this content reach more people. And if you'd like to go one step further, consider becoming a channel member. Your support is what keeps us producing deep, well-researched, high-quality videos like this one. Together, we can continue exploring the wisdom that goes beyond the surface. In the last chapter, we saw how the silent scene of a Japanese classroom reveals an entire philosophy of learning. But it's in daily practice, in the methods and rituals, that Japanese students truly build their extraordinary memory. Let's now explore these practices and see what they can teach us about discipline and persistence. The first point is discipline. In Japan, studying isn't just preparation for exams, it's part of a student's identity. On average, Japanese students spend about 240 more hours per year in school than many Western students, according to the OECD. This extra time isn't only classroom lectures, but study groups, homework, and structured review sessions. What some might see as overload, they see as opportunity for mastery. One of the most powerful methods is systematic repetition. In the West, we know about spaced repetition, reviewing information at increasing intervals to fix it in long-term memory. In Japan, this principle is applied naturally from childhood, long before apps or software. Students simply copy and review until the knowledge sticks. This mirrors the martial arts concept of shuhari. Shu means repeating faithfully, imitating without questioning. Ha means adapting and understanding the variations. Ri is the stage of transcendence, when the technique flows naturally and becomes one's own. Japanese students follow this cycle: repetition, adaptation, mastery. Writing by hand is another cornerstone. While digitization has replaced handwriting, in much of the West, in Japan, calligraphy remains central. Research by Mueller and Oppenheimer, 2014, shows handwriting activates deeper brain pathways than typing, leading to stronger memory retention. The physical act of holding a brush, shaping each stroke and repeating movements, turns information into embodied knowledge. The hand, eye, and brain unite, reinforcing memory in ways a keyboard can't replicate. The Kumon method, developed in Japan by Toru Kumon in the 1950s, also reflects this mindset. Built on incremental practice and self-learning, it encourages students to solve daily exercises slightly above their current level. Progress is steady, cumulative, and resilient. Instead of rushing through, students master each step before moving on. The contrast with Western shortcuts is clear. We chase study hacks, binge content in short videos, and mistake familiarity for knowledge. We feel like we've learned, but days later, retention is gone. Japanese students, by contrast, embrace the long road because they know it's the only one that works. This isn't just cognitive, it's cultural. The Japanese spirit of Gambaru, or do your best, persist, shapes education as much as martial arts or work. Difficulty isn't avoided. It's welcomed as the crucible of growth. Silence too plays a role. The concept of ma, the empty space, highlights the value of pauses. In the silence between study sessions, knowledge settles. For Japanese students, silence isn't absence, it's presence, and the science aligns with this. Returning to Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve, reviews at 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, and 30 days drastically improve retention. The Japanese education system naturally enforces this cycle through frequent exams, homework, and practice. Learning spirals upward, layer by layer. The results are evident in their university entrance exams, among the toughest in the world. Schools like the University of Tokyo, Kyoto, or Waseda demand years of preparation. Entire prep schools, or juku, exist just for this purpose. Students spend countless hours reviewing, not because they expect a quick fix, but because they know mastery takes time. Underlying all of this is the principle of Kaizen, continuous improvement. In Japan, learning never ends. Each day is a chance to refine. There's no done, only progress. That mindset transforms study into lifestyle. Ultimately, the real conflict between East and West isn't about technique, but about mentality. We ask, how long will it take to memorize this? They ask, how many times must I practice until this becomes part of me? The difference seems small, but the outcome is massive. And here's the good news. These methods aren't exclusive to Japan. Anyone can apply them. Spaced repetition apps exist. Paper notebooks still work. Silence can be cultivated anywhere. The Japanese path isn't a cultural artifact. It's a universal principle. Embrace the process. Abandon the rush. This leads us naturally to the final step in our journey. Because knowing how they do it isn't enough. We need to embody it ourselves. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to cultivate memory like a tree. Patiently, steadily, deeply rooted. By now, we've uncovered the philosophy and methods behind Japanese memorization. But how do we turn all of this into action? The metaphor that best explains this process is that of a tree. In many Eastern traditions, nature is the teacher, and here too, the tree becomes our guide. Memory, like a tree, doesn't grow overnight. It requires soil, roots, care, and above all, time. The first lesson is patience. A tree begins as a fragile seed. Without the right soil, water, and light, it doesn't grow. Memory starts the same way. The first time we encounter new information, it's delicate, fleeting. We must create a fertile mental environment, free of distraction, rich in focus and intent, for it to take root. Science confirms this. The forgetting curve shows we lose most of what we learn unless we review. Spaced repetition, reviewing at set intervals, is like watering a tree at the right times. Not too much at once, not forgotten for weeks. A little today, a little tomorrow, a little next week, and suddenly the seed is rooted. But repetition alone isn't enough. Shallow roots can grow fast but topple easily. Superficial memorization may help for a test, but it vanishes with the first distraction. Deep learning requires meaning. To understand, to connect, to reflect, these are the nutrients that strengthen memory. Writing by hand again shows its value. When Japanese students copy kanji, they're not just memorizing symbols, they're training patience, sharpening focus, uniting body and mind. This embodied practice creates multiple neural connections. Knowledge becomes not just abstract, but experiential. That's why handwriting has been shown to anchor memories so strongly. Silence, too, is essential. Our modern world is noisy. Phones buzz, screens flash, distractions never end. But memory grows in space, in quiet. The Japanese concept of ma, the pause, the empty space, teaches us that silence is not absence, but presence. It's in stillness that knowledge settles. Purpose is another pillar. Just as a tree grows toward the light, memory grows toward meaning. In Japan, the idea of ikigai, or reason for being, permeates even study. Students don't learn only for exams. They learn as part of a greater purpose, to contribute, to grow, to fulfill their role. Purpose fuels persistence. Without it, repetition feels empty. With it, even the hardest study becomes meaningful. So how do we apply this? 5 principles stand out. Discipline, spaced repetition, handwriting, silence, and purpose. These aren't tricks. They're practices. Studying becomes not just a way to pass tests, but a way to shape character. Each review, each note, each quiet hour builds not only memory but resilience. And here lies the deeper truth. Memorization is more than a mental act. It's spiritual training. It teaches patience, focus, perseverance. It reflects who we are. If we are scattered, our memory is weak. If we are steady, our memory is strong. Memory, like a tree, mirrors the care we give it. So the question isn't, how can I memorize faster? But how can I memorize forever? Rushing gives you quick fruits that spoil. Patience gives you roots that endure storms. As Confucius said, it doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. When you think of memorizing, like Japanese students, remember, it's not about copying their routine exactly, but embracing their philosophy. Plant the seed, water it consistently, give it silence, aim it toward the light of purpose, and let time do its work. In the end, you'll see that studying isn't an anxious obligation, but an exercise in presence. It's not about tricks or hacks, but about cultivation. And maybe this is the true wisdom Japan offers, that learning is above all an art of patience, an art of discipline, an art of growth.